All right, welcome on in everyone to this episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bring you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Now, in general on the channel, we are not in the business of breaking news, but we do have a newer council, and we believe we have everything lined up for today's episode. So we are going to go ahead and do Pacific Crest 697. This is a council that is brand new in 2025. As I have said in the past, it can be a little tricky to collect the new councils as they are formed because it can take a little while to shake out what was the first issue, what's the second, those kinds of things, determining what issue is what. And also, it's often very difficult to obtain new first issues when they are new, often because if they're limited releases sometimes or difficult to get releases, they'll be with scouts and scouters during their career, and then later when they decide that they are not collectors, they'll become more available on the market down the line. But we have been fortunate to obtain what we believe are the first issues here for Pacific Crest. I'm going to take you through all of them. I'm going to talk you through what we know and where we're finding information, as none of this is in a collecting guide as of yet. The most recent collecting guide that most of us use was published in Q3 of 2023. And so anything beyond that is going to be a bit of speculation, but we have some good work done by other collectors to put together what we believe are the first issue. So let's head on over the patch table and look at what we believe to be the first issue for Pacific Crest. Now, Pacific Crest specifically is a council that was formed as the merger of Oregon Trail and Crater Lake councils. As you can see, they did 3 issues of this patch with different borders. So we have the kind of gold and yellow border. There is a silver mylar and a gold mylar as well. So we'll talk through those. A lot of the information that we have been able to reference is from individuals that have been putting these patches together up on Patch Vault, which is one of the collecting resource sites that are out there. I'll make sure that's linked below if you want to see the Pacific Crest stuff that's there. Now, on that website, they do list this as the S1. Now, because this is definitely not intended, in my opinion, for regular wear, it doesn't even say the council's name. Just like they have listed for the next patch, which is the silver mylar, and the third patch, which is the gold mylar, those are listed as SA2 and SA3. I believe that this would be more appropriately listed as the SA1. So I do believe that this is the SA1 first issue for Pacific Crest, again commemorating the joining of the 2 former councils, Oregon Trail and Crater Lake, in 2025. We do happen to have both this first issue and the second issue, which is the silver mylar. So I do believe that this silver mylar one would appropriately be the SA2. It is an activity issue, not a regular issue. We don't have the gold mylar one. It is worth noting, and this is just an aside for collectors or people who are interested in collecting, more often than not, especially if you have, say, a name set collection where you just need to get one of each council, oftentimes you can find those patches available through the council's scout store. Pacific Crest is actually one of the few councils that host an online store where you can just order it without having to talk to anyone. But I've seen sometimes with newer councils where people are bidding up on auction sites or whatnot, new issues, when they really could have just paid the in-store fee by calling up the council and asking for oftentimes it's their first regular. If it's an activity issue, sometimes those are not available. If NOAC or Friends of the Scouting or something was the first thing they tried to rush out a CSP for, those may not be available by calling the office. I will say, though, that these first issues at the time of recording on February 2nd are still on their web store. So if you want the first issue from Pacific Crest, you can order it from their web store. And they actually have all 3 if you wanted to get the gold mylar as well. It gets a bit more pricey for that one. So these are the first issues. As most of you that have been longtime viewers of the channel know, when there is an activity issue as the first issue, we also like to collect the first regular. Now, the first regular for Pacific Crest ends up being a little challenging. And that's because it is this patch, which we believe to be the S4 charter member patch. This patch is not sold to individuals outside of the council, which makes it exceptionally difficult to collect. Now, there is a small chance, because we don't have a traditional collecting guide authorship team determining whether this is a regular issue or an activity issue. It is just a bit of speculation on collectors' parts, but the reported production numbers for this patch are such that it leads us to believe this is intended for regular uniform wear and would correctly be identified as the S4 first regular issue for the Pacific Crest Council. Take a look at the back. Just a plain plastic back. This is an AB emblem. Patch looks really fantastic in person. The colors really pop. I'm sure it looks really great on uniforms. It is always a little bit difficult when they do not sell it to members out of the council for collectors to obtain it, and unfortunately drives up the price, and none of that money goes to the council. It goes to whoever got it and then sells it out. So that's neither here nor there. That's totally their decision as a council to do. In the event that this is considered at a later time to be an activity issue, and this would be the SA4, we have continued to collect the council just to make sure that we do have the first regular. There were 2 patches that were created late in 2025 after this. One of them is a Friends of Scouting, which has been listed and is on that Patch Vault website. Again, link below in the description, is listed as the SA5, and then there is a camp patch that is listed as an SA6. And then earlier this year, here in 2026, they then produced this patch, which we believe is the S7. If that S4 patch with the blue mylar border ends up being determined to be an SA4, this S7 would then, by our determinations, be the first regular. But I don't think that that's the case, and on the title screen we are going to list the Oregon Trail Crater Lake as the SA1 as the first issue, and that blue mylar border S4 as the first regular. That's what we believe to be correct. But we have this as kind of a backup just in case. We did want to show it to you as well, in case at a later time they do determine that this ended up being the first regular. Again, at this point, all of these designations, SA1, SA2, S4, etc., we believe are what they would be designated, but there is no collecting guide officially designating these as such. So take that as it is. When you're bringing out the new stuff, it is a little bit of guesswork until we have definitive consensus in the collecting community. But it's always fun to see the brand new stuff, so if we have it, we will always try and bring it to you. Also, if you are in newer councils and you have the 2025 NYLT red border from High Desert, let us know. If you have the 2024 Natural State Friends of Scouting black border, let us know. We are still always trying to collect those new first issues, so if you think that you have ways that you could help us and collect those, we would love that as well. Always be on the lookout. If your councils merge and they produce that next first CSP, please think of us. We would love to be able to share, record that history with everyone here on the channel as scouting always continues to grow and evolve. I want to thank you all. Let's finish by putting that first regular back up. So here's what we believe to be the first, and here's what we believe to be the first regular for Pacific Crest. We'll be back again tomorrow with another brand new episode. I want to thank you all for tuning in and continuing to support our channel, making us a small part of your day. With that, you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you on the next episode.